Hey guys, it's Carol. I've got a lot of vlogs and tutorials in the works, but until then, enjoy this little Worbla time lapse. Okay, so I didn't get to actually record the foam construction, but here are some progress pictures that I took before I did start turning the camera on. Okay, so, of course, I started with chugging an entire protein shake just before I start, because when I get really focused in crafting and stuff, I often find myself really hungry at the end of the session, especially after so many hours have gone by and I've completely absorbed myself in my work. And here's that pattern I use, which is the skull mask pattern from Cosplay. And this is where I made a slight blunder. It didn't really set me back too much time, but I definitely thought that I could have used tape to wrap my foam piece and make a pattern out of that. And from that pattern, I plan to trace it onto the Worbla and cut out pieces as if I were to assemble a foam pattern. But then in the end, I realized it was kind of a waste of time, and I just wrapped up the tape back on and then got all my scraps out of my Worbla. So what I'm trying to do here is just do a fold over Worbla wrap, not like a full sandwich where it would be Worbla on both sides of the foam, fully encasing it. I just wanted to wrap around the Worbla on the edges to have one side of the prop be fully covered, and then the edges as well to make sure it had a nice clean edge and so that it was extra sturdy. And so what I'm doing here is just cutting off all the excess, and I'm doing that with my favorite cutters I've ever found in my life. These are titanium Fiskars all-purpose cutters, I think, and you can really use them for almost anything. The only thing I wouldn't really use them is for cutting fabric, but anything up to cardboard, other plastics, foam even, it really works well for all of those things. Okay, and I've been doing this throughout the video, but if you can see closely, I'm using my nail to kind of stitch these Worbla seams together, just so that the seams have heavier contact, and then I press them nice and flat so that they are actually connected and you don't see as much of a heavy seam between each scrap piece. Little tip, if you can see here, I'm using a compressed air can upside down. I picked this tip up from Bill Duran at Punish Props, and if you flip that can upside down and spray it, it releases some really cold liquid, and you can really use that to super cool anything hot, like hot glue, or in this case, I'm using it to cool down the Worbla in the position I want it to be, especially because while I'm heating up all this foam and the Worbla, it's releasing and it's becoming more relaxed, so I'm using that compressed air to cool it down in the position I want it to be. And so I finished up the rest of the mask, and this is the finished result. Thank you guys for sticking around till the end of the video. I know that this end card is kind of empty right now. There should be videos on the left eventually when some other videos come out. But until then, thank you guys again, and I run out of things to say.